Hi guys, it's the Island Girl and I'm back with another one for you today. And today I'm checking out what did the British ever do for us scientifically. All right. So Peter Day 81 dropped this in the comment section and he said, Island Girl, you gotta check this one out. And I'm like, okay, I definitely want to know after seeing the topic. So I'm getting this one from Reef Rebels. Don't forget to go over and check the original link out, guys. But for this video, it will be in the description below if you want to watch it on this term, because this is where I'm getting this information from. All right, guys? So don't forget to go over, slap the like, and subscribe to his channel as well. All right. We're going to get right into this. So if you're new to my channel and it's your first time here, come on in, right back with a smile on your face and enjoy. To all my regular schmegler, day one, sweetie pie, sweetie poos, come on in, right back. Put a smile on your face and enjoy this reaction with the Island Girl. All right? Let's get into this video because I'm intrigued. Here we go.
What did the British, ever do for us scientifically?
Apart from the sanitation, the medicine, education, wine, public order, irrigation, roads, a fresh water system and public health, what have the Romans ever done for us?
Nowadays, our education system regards the British as brutal colonists who enslaved populations, subjugated the world. Out of roughly 200 countries in the world today, the Brits colonised, settled or invaded about 90% of them, which I think is fairly impressive, or at least I think the Romans would think it was impressive. But would we have been better off without those bastard Brits? Now, as it happens, they may have some redeeming features, if you look at their scientific contribution at least. Now, this is a slightly different video to normal, and I'm going to talk about the British scientific and technological achievements and inventions, even though I could mention trivial things like the British invention of some of the best countries in the world, like Australia, Canada, Singapore, New Zealand, America. Well, maybe not invented, but they were certainly highly influenced. Or even the only decent country in the Middle East, which is Israel, courtesy of Mr. Balfour, and many other countries that have a great deal to be proud of, such as Malaya, South Africa, Fiji, Kenya, Botswana, Sri Lanka, India, all wonderful British creations. But we're a science channel and we're going to look at science.
Okay.
Now, the list is long of scientific achievements, and I'm only going to look at the really big ones and some of the more important ones. Let's start.
It's interesting the way he started out. He has a little wittiness about him. But guys, he is right. About 90% of the world was invented by this amazing country right here. And most of the time when you're hearing about Britain, you hear about the bad stuff. You don't hear about the good stuff starting out. They always think to go back to all the bad things that happened, all the things that went wrong, not the achievements or the inventions. And that doesn't normally, to me, seem to be at the forefront. So let's get into scientific. I know there's a lot of inventions, but I don't really know as much. So I'm really excited for this video. All right, guys, let's continue.
Important ones. Let's start.
British invention. Okay.
Let's start with transport and engines. So the British invented the railways, steel tracks, railway locomotives. In fact, wherever the British went, railways followed. So they put in railways in Germany, India, South America, and of course everybody copied that. Then we have the modern bicycle, initially called the Rover Safety Bicycle, apparently. Chain drive, caster steering and relatively small wheels, invented by the Rover Company. In fact, in Poland, the word for bicycle is Rover. And yes, it's the same company that makes Land Rovers.
Oh.
Now, the British obviously invented the first engines, which was the steam engine, and that broke us free from back-breaking animal and human-powered devices. Now, while the British were inventing the steam engine, they, of course, had to invent the piston and more importantly, the piston ring that seals the piston, a truly remarkable technological invention which is even now being developed further. And the piston ring is the basis for petrol engines and diesel engines,
Yep.
in fact, virtually every engine. So no Brits, no engines. Next, they invented the first engine-powered ships, obviously steam-powered, ships' propellers, steel ships, the steam turbine, initially for powering ships, but now it powers the generators in every coal electricity generating plant and every nuclear generating plant.
Oh, wow.
So that's about 50% of all the electricity that's generated today, all courtesy of Mr. Parsons.
I did not know that. This is new information to me. It's interesting to just sit here and listen to this. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I didn't even know that you guys invented the bicycle. I did not know that. All right, let's
Then we
go to
have the jet engine. Yes, the Germans independently invented it in the Second World War. The turboprop engine, invented by the Brits, the first turboprop aircraft. So if you don't fly in an airplane powered by a jet engine, which was largely due to the Brits, it's a turboprop airplane, which was invented by the Brits.
Okay.
And of course, the turboprop is the basis of the gas turbine, which is used to generate another 20% of the world's electricity. We also have the modern car layout, front drive, transverse engine, independent suspension, CV joints on the front wheels. Before that, companies tried all sorts of arrangements. So, for example, the Germans famously had the engine and everything at the back, but since 1959, most cars use the Mini Minor equivalent.
Okay.
Ever been on a vehicle that uses steel wheels? Pretty uncomfortable. But don't worry, the Brits invented the pneumatic tyre. So it looks like the British have invented pretty much everything that runs on the road. They didn't invent the road, that's just about it. Well, actually they did.
Oh.
Tarmac roads, or tarmacadam, was invented by a Scot and a Welshman.
Oh.
Then we have steel bridges. And here's a very interesting one, the modern traffic roundabout in the 1960s. Now, you might think that roundabouts have been around since way before the 1960s, but the Brits had the inspired idea of changing the rules for the roundabout. In other words, yield to enter, which massively increases the efficiency of the roundabout. Then we have the cat's eye reflector.
Man, I can understand that, because if that wasn't the case, there would be so many accidents taking place. Man, my brain is being filled with so much information that I did not know. I just didn't. And I'm happy I'm watching this video. Here we go.
The cat's eye reflector. Caterpillar tracks, which the Brits invented just before they invented the tank. So there's much more we could talk about in terms of transport technology, but we must move on to other industrial and technological stuff. Now, of course, Britain famously started the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th century, and it's debated why it started in the United Kingdom, but clearly there was something special going on that made that spark. And of course, it started in the textile and agricultural industry. In the textiles, they invented the flying shuttle, powered looms, the spinning mill for making threads. In fact, if you didn't have the Brits, you don't have the very fine modern clothing which we have now, which is also incredibly cheap compared with what it used to be. In the agricultural industries, there were all sorts of mechanical devices like the mechanical seed drill, the haymaking threshing machine, but also really important things like phosphate fertilizer production, selective breeding. But that's just the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. If you're going to have an Industrial Revolution, you need a big build buildings. And so the British gave us Portland cement, a revolutionary type of cement. Where would we be without it? Then we have things like steel boring machines, which led to the modern lathe, which is ubiquitous in metal cutting. Hyper-accurate machines for measuring things, the micrometer, for instance. You cannot have modern engineering unless you have hyperfine methods for measuring things. We have stainless steel, the production of polyethylene, very famous practice, plastic used in just about everything. The steel hammer for forging steel and making it much stronger. The Bessemer steel process, the first mass production of steel effectively. And then the mass production of glass using the now ubiquitous virtually tin flotation method.
Wow.
All right, let's go a little bit electrical. So the first long-distance communication cables were invented by the Brits, the coaxial cable. This was used for underwater cables to link the UK to America and other places. The first intercontinental communication, the birth of the internet in a sense. It was the first time that we could communicate all around the world.
Man, I'm like, this is fascinating to just sit here and listen to, guys. I can't not stress that. I'm stressing that because guess what? I did not know this. I did not. You understand me? And like I said, people tend to focus on the negative stuff when it come on to Britain. It's always the negative stuff you hear first, what they've done, not the positive. But when you stop to sit and listen to this, you realize that, listen, where would the world be without them? Where? All these inventions. Amazing. Let's continue.
The telephone. Alexander Graham Bell was a Scotsman. The television, liquid crystal, cavity magnetron. You've never heard of the cavity? It's in your microwave. But probably more importantly, the first radars to a large extent used the cavity magnetron, which was a revolution. Then if we go a little bit medical, we've got CAT scanners, ultrasound scanners, the first town to have chlorinated water. How about the first electronic programmable computer to crack German codes in the Second World War?
What?
Accurate navigation using highly accurate clocks, the chronometers, and the first workable atomic clock. Then we have the World Wide Web, a gas stove, tin cans, and a really big one. I know you've been wondering where I get to this one. An alarm clock that makes tea.
Huh? An alarm clock that makes tea? No, seriously. Never heard of that one. It's the first time. That is very interesting. But the clock, the tin can. Listen, man, there's so many things to digest here. It's just crazy to know that all these were done by the British. And it's not really talked about. You don't really hear about it, to be honest with you. You know, there's always a back and forth with who invent what. You understand me? It is amazing to know. Hey, mama. Let's continue. Alarm clock with tea. A kettle pan it. Still can't get over that either.
Again, I could have added many, many more things, but let's go on to fundamental science, the stuff that all other science and technology actually depends upon.
Oh.
But before we do that, maybe just like and subscribe.
Yes, please do.
How about the discovery of the proton, neutron, and electron, the three building blocks of, well, frankly, just about everything, all discovered by Brits. And the Brits also discovered the opposite of matter, which is antimatter, by Paul Dirac. And more recently, the last particle in the standard physics model of just about everything, the Higgs boson, which was proposed by Peter Biggs. Now let's go a little bit bigger, but not a great deal bigger. The atom, the model of the atom with a hard nucleus with the electrons flying around,
Yes.
was essentially discovered by the British. And I'm being a little bit loose there because there is a famous New Zealander involved with this, but frankly in those days Kiwis were basically Brits. What about biology? Well, in my view, the two biggest advances in biology were both discovered by Brits. The first one is Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. And then you have the discovery of the structure of DNA at Cambridge University. Fundamental molecular biology, of which the whole DNA revolution has been based on. And yes, I know Watson was an American and Wilkins was a Kiwi. Anyway, of course, the discovery of the structure meant this explosion in growth of the whole DNA industry, effectively, such as DNA fingerprinting, now invented by the Brits. Now let's go back to more basic, very fundamental and possibly more important medicine. We have antiseptics, antibiotics, vaccines, all three invented by Brits. But let's go back to physics now. So we have Newton's laws of motion, Newton's laws of gravity. Where would we be without Sir Isaac Newton? We essentially couldn't predict anything.
So true.
Back on to the physics, the laws of optics and the way that radio waves travel, light, the laws of electromagnetic propagation in signals and wires, Scotsman James Clerk Maxwell's. You don't have any mobile phones or computers or communication cables without Maxwell. And then we have electromagnetic induction from Michael Faraday's. If you don't understand magnetic induction, there are no electric motors, there's no electric generators. Basically, the whole backbone of the electricity system, you owe it to the Brits.
Wow.
Or in mathematics, and there are a lot here, so I'm going to pick the really big one, which is the invention of calculus, yes. There was another guy called Leibniz who also invented it at the same time, but essentially Newtonian calculus is at the basis of a huge amount of advanced science of engineering. It's as fundamental as algebra and arithmetic. Now, this list is not complete. There are literally a zillion other things that the Brits have contributed to. Actually, there is just one more. Okay. The flushing loo.
Ah!
Now, obviously, much of what those...
The flushing loo was invented by you guys. Why did I not know that either? Guys, to be honest with you, I don't understand why this information is not taught in school from an earlier age. That kids can understand that majority of these stuffs were invented by you guys. I don't get it. Why is it not being taught in school? Huh? Why not? Why not teach this worldwide? Man, this is just fascinating to sit and listen to and learn as a old woman here.
Now, obviously, much of what those British scientists did was based on other scientists from lots of other countries, and the Brits were just part of this magnificent thing which we call Western civilization. Of course, there were French and there were Germans, and the scientific development and advancement then spread to the United States and now to the Far East. But the contribution of the Brits were utterly fundamental on so many levels. Now, without those advancements, our lives would be short, harsh, and frankly, just bloody horrible. The world's population would still be about 1 billion, which is what it was in about 1800, rather than the roughly 8 billion that it is today without that wonderful science and technology. Now, if you add up all the bad things that the Brits may have done, you know, the Amritsar massacre, the Bengal famine, and all the other bad things that happened, albeit only occasionally considering the attitudes of the times. Yeah. But even if you add all those up, it's not a drop in the bucket compared with what has been achieved and the lives that have saved. How many lives, how many babies, children were saved by antibiotics and antiseptics, clean water, or the uses of electricity, communications and transport? Famines are effectively a thing of the past because, well, for one reason, we can ship food around from one place to another very, very easily. Now, look, it turns out that I was born in England, and even though I'm an Aussie, so I am biased. But I don't think it makes sense to be proud of what your ancestors did or were unless there's some evidence that you carry on those ideas, values and traditions. But even if you don't measure up to those ancestors or other people's ancestors, it's just bad form not to appreciate what those people did for us.
So
the contribution of the Brits was truly incredible, and we should all be grateful that they came along and did more than virtually any other group to pull humanity out of the appalling, difficult lives that existed before the 1800s. So, do you think the ledger for those bastard Brits, is it positive or negative?
Wow. I ain't gonna lie. That was well put. Ooh, I like it. It's nice.
It's upside.
I see. Okay. It's amazing to sit here and just watch and listen and hear and learn all this stuff. Because I like I said, I like the way he expressed it. But this should be taught in school because people need to have appreciation. It's amazing to see and know that the Brits did all this. And this is just the scientific side of it. I know there's much more. You understand me, guys? So that was an amazing video. I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm happy Peter, thank you for requesting this one and sending this to me. So I learned something today, and I can take the time out to also teach my kids because a lot of these stuff are not being taught. I've learned so much over the past year now that I've been looking and learning about the Brits. And this right here just enhances my knowledge about your inventions. And I love the fact that he was focusing on the scientific side of it. You understand me? And it's sad to know that every time you hear about the Brits, people tend to go negative instead of the positive. And I like the way he put it. Based on all that they have done, it's just a tip in the bucket compared to all the accomplishments and everything that was given to the world. You understand? So I'm going to take the time out to teach this to my kids so they can know. Yeah, Mama. So they...
Mom?
Yes, Raya. Okay. So I can say that so you can know this information. So the question was asked, what have they done? So with that said, I'm gonna end it by saying thank you. Let's put it that way. Thank you. If you haven't heard it from anybody else, I'm telling you today. Thank you. So don't forget to go over and check out his channel. Like I said, the link will be in the description below because I'm using his material. Guys, we're on the road to 100K. So don't hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to go in the comment section. Tell me what you'd like me to check out next because it will be done. You can drop a link. You can write the topic, what you'd like me to check out next. Okay, guys? It's your island girl and I'm running out of here. Love you guys. Don't forget to give this video a big slap on the like button. And I'll see you guys in another video.